Andy can jump in along the way anywhere. We haven't worked out a particular order of things to do, but between us, we put this slide deck together, or I'll say Gus put the actual slide deck together, and if he appears, we'll get him on through it. But let's get started into it. Really, it offers a lot of opportunity, AI, and a lot of it's around how you use it, and also back to the comment before, it doesn't do everything. It's not going to magically just make your coffee for you. You've got to do a bit of work before it. You've got to understand it. So where it helps though is the ability to enhance not only some operational aspects, like a simple example would be analyzing a spreadsheet or working out how to put a formula into a spreadsheet, or if you've got some data from anywhere, it makes it a lot easier to get that information analyzed, because it will ChatGPT and many other language models will do that for you. So the analyzing of data is great. The social media management, it's terrific at doing things like creating posts based on an event. You can ask ChatGPT to give me 5 blog posts based on a video that you've created, or a YouTube that's from Rotary, or whatever it might be. And that all leads into helping around prospecting for donors and creating personalized web and brochure content. Now, for those that are really not technical, it's still a usable, easy thing. If you can do a Google search, you can use one of the large language models, and we'll go through a little bit of that. At the other extreme, I want to say extreme, if you're a little bit technical, you don't have to be very technical. There are tools out there that will literally build a website for you. I've been using one myself just this last week, and they really are amazing. But underline, they do not do everything for you. You still have to have some knowledge, and it might be easier to get someone who knows what they're doing to do it sometimes, because you can get taken down all sorts of rabbit holes trying to sort something out. So asking better questions.
I was going to say, Phil, if you want, I can jump in on this one, because this was my slide.
Yeah, great. So, you do that.
I think, just to echo what Phil was saying, is AI is here as a tool. It's more a companion than a solution or something that will replace us. I think understanding that it's a system that works on, you put something in and it will return something. And as we speak every week, every month, it's getting better and better and better and faster. And I think, it's never too late to get on and understand how it works, and, just continue on with its evolution. And I think the best way to look at it is, the quality of input you put in is the quality of output that you will get out. So I put there, asking better questions gets better results. And basically that's a summary on how you should approach AI, because it can give you 10 different answers based on how you request it. And so I put in this diagram, because I think this is really the key to structuring really good prompts. So when you hear people use the term AI prompting, that's what it really is putting into your search engine or the ChatGPT window basically the question or the command that you're looking for it to respond to you with. So in order to have a really robust and detailed response, the key is to actually have these 5 pillars. So first is a persona, which is basically in what person or attribute or role are you looking to ask this question, or would like the answer to be returned to you as. So you can ask it as, based as a IT savvy or a non-IT savvy person, can you respond to me 5 different ways I can quickly write a post on Facebook? So it will be able to give you either in a more advanced or more technical response based on what sort of persona or output you're looking for. The next one is the context. So, you want to be a little bit more specific in saying, hey, I'm looking to do this from my, say, mobile phone or from an Android device or something. So it will then give you more specific answers based on that. Then the actual task itself. So the task will be, write me a post for upcoming fundraising event. The next sort of pillar is around output. So, this is where you can say, give it to me in a table, give it to me in 10-step format, give it to me in, a simple step-by-step guide. The model now is very advanced in the sense that you can actually get it to draw you a picture. So it will be able to draw you a diagram. You can also do like flow diagrams from it. And then the last one is the constraint. So things like if you want to add in the constraint of saying, hey, we're a Australian-based Rotary club, those are the constraints you can add in there, or we're from Noble Park Dingley, make it relatable to that context. And so having those 5 pillars in your prompt is where you'll receive the best kind of outputs from what you put in. And I think that's really the key on how you can make the most of it. And I think my suggestion is really don't be scared. I think there's not really much harm you can do to yourself by playing with it. At the end of the day, we're still in control. We choose whether or not we post these articles. We choose whether or not these posts and the texts that it produces, we'll proofread them anyway. So I think it's just great to have a play with it and then just get yourself familiar with its capabilities. So I think just giving you a bit more of an insight on that. So yeah.
No, that's great, Andy, and we can't emphasize enough good preparation, which is what this is about, and having that sort of framework that Andy's laid out there. Sure, there's simple ones you might not need that, but if you're trying to do something where you want to do a fundraising event, using that framework will give you the best outcome. And one of the things I found interesting in a Google bit of research recently, the average person uses less than 7 words in a prompt, and Google research is showing you need in excess of 20 to get a good outcome. So just because it's AI and you think it's going to give you all the answers, the better information you put in, the better you'll get out. Once you put it in the first time, you can chat to it in short questions because it'll relate to the subject you've talked about. But when you're getting it set up in the front end, make sure you've got good information.
I just wanted to add, Phil, when you said, you keep asking more questions, there's a term that people refer to as training the model. So a lot of times what you're doing by refining and going back, hey, that's not what I'm after. Can you please use this certain language? Or that's exactly what they refer to as training the model. So the idea is that after you've played with it for 6 weeks, 6 days, 6 hours, whatever it needs to be, it actually starts to learn. It's probably a little creepy that it starts to know you a lot better than you actually know yourself. But this is where if you use it for a couple months, there's always a funny thing to try with, say, your ChatGPT or some of the other platforms available like Grok and all those things, is you can ask it the question, tell me about myself. And it will actually give you something very, very interesting that you'll find really shocking. But, again, it's about learning. And so AI was based on a lot of the neural networks. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with sort of a lot of the data science and whatnot behind how a lot of the AI and predictive sort of algorithms work. But essentially, it's basically a very complex set of mathematical formulas that works out on average. And it just repeats itself over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until it finds and refines itself to the answer that it feels is as close as it can be to what you're actually asking. The model's come a lot further than what it was, probably 2 years ago or even last year. And as people use it, as it's getting trained, it's getting smarter as well. So, yeah. Sorry, Phil.
Okay. One of the things that just good segue into mentioning about training on data is to make sure you understand how you're handling sensitive data, because at the end of the day, you're putting it into a public model. For everyone's benefit, if you're on this, most of the models have it, and certainly ChatGPT, you can go in what they call private mode. So you can actually ask a question and actually say it's private so that it does not get shared. But even then, you have to trust that is the fact. We will don't know that is a fact, but that's how they've gotten over that. So the data could potentially be used somewhere else. If you're referring to someone's driving license number or something to do with something personal, you've got to be very aware of how you're using AI, because that's how it gets trained, and that information could inadvertently turn up somewhere else. So be sure that you're being careful with that. The other one is about bias. Remembering that the like somewhere in the order of 80% of the information that LLMs are using is more than 5 years old. So just using that simple example there, in the last 10 years, we've come a long way with understanding the difference between the roles of males and females. So you'll often get a biased response, which could be based on old information. It could be based on the fact that there were less immigrants in Australia when the information you're reading, so it won't take them into account. So you've got to understand that these models are getting way better, and you can do things like you can put things in it. Only refer to information that you find that's in the last 2 years. You can actually talk to it in specific details, but when you get the outcome, just be aware it can be biased. And so don't assume the response given is correct. I've seen too many examples now where it is actually not correct what it's given us. It's getting better every day, or definitely every week, but just don't assume that's correct.
Bill, could I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
The concept of AI is it's collecting data from a very big source, as in the internet. Considering that there's a heck of a lot of stuff on the internet which is fundamentally wrong and misconceived and that sort of thing, how do you solve that problem, in the sense of you ask certain questions and it goes and searches the internet and it comes back with all these really weird sort of opinions and things like that? How's it handle that?
And I'll let Andy add to this, but the key is the main large language model use reputable sources of information. They don't go out and just scour what's on Facebook or whatever it is. Now there are plugins you can ask it to do that, but the core information is based on what they call reputable, but still the same applies. It may be going somewhere that has got inaccurate data, and also it can just get mixed up, plain and simply mixed up.
I think to add to that, Phil, in the early days, there was a lot of issues with what they called AI hallucination. So what that was where AI doesn't understand an answer, it will pretend or it will make up something to fill that gap. And a lot of people in the early stages, this was probably not that long ago. I think it was like mid last year. There was like a court case where one of the lawyers just threw something into ChatGPT and it quoted or it created this case that didn't actually exist. And the problem with that is, there is all these caveats around when you use it. It does say you must proofread all your information and all that sort of stuff. And I think the models are getting better in the sense that it actually tries to at least link back to its source. So a lot of times now when you're asking it to write something or find something for you, it will try to link back to a source article or a source website to provide it to you, Brian. But I think the other challenge is it's like with everything on the internet now. What do you really believe? What is actually real? And it's that ethical question a lot of people have raised in the past is, whoever owns the server is the king, right? So they can just censor and delete whatever they want to delete, and then it becomes fact. So I think, like with anything, even if we're using the internet today, not just AI, it's always good to have that layer of critical thinking over the top and just, proofreading it yourself. And, there's always those little things that you can kind of get someone else within the space that say, hey, does this sound right to you guys, or anything like that, to just give you that sense of confidence if there's anything like critical that you're looking to, quote or anything like that. So
just to sort of enhance on that, in terms of getting people to check it, I'll just use a very short example. I just did a project where I had to create a white paper about a particular security framework in IT that I don't know it. I don't understand the framework. I leveraged AI to create the white paper. However, I ensured it was peer reviewed by 2 experts. Right? So I'm not going to produce a white paper and say it's all gospel and I'm going to publish a white paper on essential aid security. I I go to experts to say, can you read through this and tell me it is accurate? So what that does for you is it means probably 60% of the workload is lightened, meaning instead of taking 100% of the time it would have beforehand, it's taken us maybe 40% of the time. So the message is make sure you're getting people who know what they're looking at reading these documents, and that they understand that the answer makes sense.
Good.
So preparation, I can't say enough. And that includes when we say preparation, if you're trying to get AI to do something, there's a lot of simple questions where you won't need a lot of effort. And again, I'll use a really simple example I've had to use from an owner's corporation perspective. If I went in there and said, can you tell me what the regulations are around lot access in an apartment block? I could get any sort of answer because it could look anywhere in the world and give me an answer. Whereas if I go in and tell it, can you give me based on the rules in Victoria, you've already put some constraint around it. So you've got to tighten that up. So if you understand, then I can go one step further. I can actually then, I've got a specific document relating to it. I can actually drop that into the chat and say, referring to the attached document, can you please tell me what the requirements are for access to lots? So it then analyzes the whole document, and those sorts of things are really important in your preparation. So what sources of information have I got? The simpler it is, it's not such a big job, but the more complex it is, a really good example would be we're wanting to do a fundraiser and you're going to get involved in alcohol and food. So you can put in there what regulation. You can start with what regulations do I have to consider in Victoria if I'm going to do an event that includes alcohol and food dispensing. And then when it comes back, you can then ask it specific questions about the particular acts it refers to. So creating that and getting that information correct in the prompt structure, back to that framework that Andy talked about, that's really important. Then the next part of it can be just to use it. I often refer to it as pure ideation. Again, give it some parameters. I'm a Rotary Club with 20 members. I want to run a fundraising event with no more than 6 people required to be involved for a minimum amount of time. Give me 6 possible fundraising events I could run. And then you look down at it and you say, well, actually, I like 2 of them. Then you can actually chat back to it and say, for idea 1 and idea 2, can you elaborate on what will be required to make them operate? So you can work through, and then once you get the first bit going, you can literally chat with it. But that's the ideation, I think, is really useful. Back to you using it for prompting to do blog posts. Here's a really simple example. There's some great Rotary videos. You can literally tell it, you can paste in the URL from YouTube and say, referring to this YouTube video, can you give me 10 blog posts I could do, or 10 social posts I could do about this subject? And then when it gives it to you, you can actually tell it, look, I like the first 5. Can you actually make them longer or shorter? The other thing when it comes to prompting, which is a really useful thing, I don't think we've got it covered, but I'll mention it. Use ChatGPT or Gemini or whichever ones you use to actually improve your prompt. So a really cool way of doing it is if you're doing that, if you're trying to create an event for the club, you create a prompt, and when you've worked out what it should be, and I often do these offline. I don't do it I'll go and write it in a Word document or a note taker or something, and I'll get my words right. And then I'll go into ChatGPT and say, this following prompt, can you give me a score out of 10? And then I'll paste the prompt in, and ChatGPT will come and look at it and say, I'll give you a 6. And you'll say, and you can ask, then you can just say to ChatGPT, what would you change to make it a 10? and it'll actually give you a better prompt. So you can use it to create a better outcome for yourself. So my emphasis with this whole area is you still need to keep your mind on the job. It's not like autopilot, but it saves you a lot of the effort you need to take to get the job done.
It takes a lot of the menial tasks away, and I think this is where just getting started is a great way to play with it. And yeah, it's one of those things where the more you sort of work with it, just understand that it works for you. That's the right sort of mentality around it. It's, the machine will always work for us, and don't ever take things for granted. And it's like, I think like with Google searches, right? After a while, people became quite complacent and they just took the first 3 or 4 results from Google search and they sort of said, oh, that was the best answer. But unfortunately, what people don't realize behind the scenes is, there's the SEOs and all that sort of stuff so SEO, sorry, is a search engine optimization, which is where a lot of times you can add things into the website that puts you higher in the rankings for Google. And then people then assume, oh, that must be the best result. So I think, like with everything, please be mindful. Please, just I wouldn't say act with caution. That's probably being a bit too fearful of it. I think it's just, just make sure you're in control and yeah, don't stress about, that. Don't take it as gospel, if that's all right.
So on here, we've got some of the common ones. I mean, everyone's probably heard of ChatGPT.
You there, Phil?
Yes.
Sorry for being late. Wondering if I could have a chat to the gang now.
Yep, we're all good. Yep.
Yeah, and thanks for filling. Sorry, everyone. I had a Zoom breakdown, but we managed with David to fix it straight away.
Cool.
And the guys have been doing a great discussion on the artificial intelligence, and now the focus will be shifting to what club members can actually use to assist them in having a better experience with AI and their Rotary Club. And so I'll just name off one, and the other guys will talk about others. But one common one that not in a particular order, that I like to use now is Microsoft Copilot. So in the IT world that I work in, quite often I have to write requirements, and everybody here that when you use an AI tool, you're basically putting your requirements to the tool to ask it to produce some results. So with Microsoft Copilot, the thing I like about it is being a blog or a natural language filtered device. I can put in the statements that I want to make, and it'll correct and offer alternatives. And so the Microsoft-based one, which was launched a couple of years ago, is now getting shipped out with Microsoft Windows, and it's an option that in Windows 11 that you can choose to use. So it doesn't cost any money, and it's available there. So I'll hand to Phil and to Alan, to talk about a couple of other ones.
Yeah, I think with the models that are around, ChatGPT is one everyone's heard of, and there is a free version of most things. And most things you do, you could probably get away if you're doing it. You just add on a casual basis with the free version. None of them are overly expensive. ChatGPT's, I think it's about $28, $30, but it might be US dollars a month.
Yeah, it's about 25 US.
Yeah. If you're using, in what I do, I probably use ChatGPT many hours a day and for lots of things, so you need it. The other models that are around, like Gemini is another good one. It's a free one. And back to what Gas was saying, Copilot, that's also good, but then there's a paid version of that as well. Where the others like Perplexity and Claude come in, again, there's a free version of those. Perplexity tends to be better for doing creation of scripts. If you're trying to create a small book or a white paper or something like that, it just tends to write better. And Claude tends to be, and I'm saying very broadly here, it tends to be more useful in a technical role. So if I want to go and create a website, you can do it in ChatGPT, but Claude tends to be better at doing that. So it's just getting an understanding. But for general use, for what we talked about, just asking it about things, how to sort out things. I mean, a great example, we had come up just recently was, just about Rotary. You can go in there and you say, can you give me, how many Rotary clubs are in the world? I mean, there's simple questions you can ask. You can do that with anything. But it's when you want to do more, you might want to use one of the models that are available, and just have a look, and they're not expensive. So what I might do, because I think it's quite useful for people to see something. So let me just do a change of what I'm sharing here. Just give me a minute. I actually wasn't going to do this, but I will. I'm going to do something a little bit different. So people have actually seen. Okay, let me just share my screen again. So that's what ChatGPT looks like. And the very simple commentary I'll make here is on the left. These are plugins you can put in that can do specific things. You can search for them, and we won't go through that today. They're called GPTs. And then down the side, it'll keep a history of what you've spoken about. So if you've gone in there and done work, it'll actually keep the history, and I can go back to a conversation I had earlier and carry on. It's really useful to be able to do that. The example we're going to do, I'm going to do two parts. So one is just, I'm pasting in here, let me get rid of that, a very simple thing. Oh, I want to create a set of slides, and it's just a made up story about our Ferntree Golf Club. We want to, what we want to do. All right, so I'm using a prompt that's not ideal for what this is, because I've got it for another purpose. But just I want to just show what people looks like. So I can go in there, and I can just say run. Now, I must admit, I've noticed it being a little bit slower than usual lately, but it goes off, and up the top here, you'll see the version. There's various versions we can run of. This is in the paid version, you get all the different models available. So you might look at which is the best one for the purpose. Really, it's normally the GPT-4o is the one you'd normally use, but I've obviously been doing something else. And here what it's done, it's actually gone off and created a slide deck for me. Now I won't spend too much time looking at too many things, but if I quickly open this up, and let me just reshare my screen, because this is the problem. We've got to keep resharing it when we do this. You'll see what it's created. Now, because in that case it's very vanilla, I could have put in there, refer to a particular website for what sort of style I want, what colors I want. But this is what's had a crack at creating for me.
So Phil, on that, you could have referred to even a Facebook, like the club Facebook page. Is that right, Phil?
Yep.
And you could go in and pick pictures and
yes.
yeah. Fabulous.
Or the club website.
Or the club website, yeah.
Is the easy way usually. Or I could actually upload a existing PowerPoint with your existing template there, and they could have copied that. But look, this just gives you an example of what you can do in here. All right. So what I can do is I can then go back, and I'm just going to. Sorry for the jumping around, but it's the only way you can do it when you do this remotely. Then I can just go back to my ChatGPT again. Where's it gone? So I just get back onto it. Now what I can do is I could say now, because I'm in it now, can you give me some. So you can just start conversing with it. That's the whole point. So you can see what it's done straight away. And it's really interesting how relevant it becomes, membership growth, community impact. Like it knows what we're talking about because it knows we're talking about Rotary. So diversity, inclusion, I think everything we've got in there, we'd all put a hand up and say, we talk about this all the time. Back to my work discussion on ideation is it's a really handy thing to do to make sure you don't miss a point. You might look through this and say, yeah, I know all that, but it'll make points in there that you are reminded of what you can do. So that's a very quick glimpse of how useful it can do just in something like ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever it might be used.
So Phil, you also mentioned that this is like the topic of membership, but you've spoken before about how you can also use it, for argument's sake, you're looking for the rules around a particular function, working with children or something like that. Do you want a quick elaboration on that, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, you really you can really just go in here. You can see what it says. And you see it's searching the web, it's going and looking at different things. It does all that for you. And this is a particular model that's got, so the new models have got, the options have got what they call reasoning in it. So it'll actually do the research and then it'll use a reasoning model to look at it and say, does this reasonably look correct? But you see, it's, again, it's pretty good.
The little grey bubbles as well next to the things are links to the sources, just to, so everyone.
Yeah, down
knows.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll have the sources so you can check. So this way it gets very, very handy. So with our time, what I'm going to do, I'm going to finish on something, and then we can see if there are any other questions. Because what I want to do is.
Can I have 30 seconds as well, Phil? I just wanted to show something to everyone.
Yeah, sure, you go. Yeah.
I was going to say, Phil went through amazing stuff that you can do from that sense. If I can share my screen for a second.
Yep.
Just ignore the context of this photo, but I wanted to show something a bit fun that you can actually do.
You got to share it.
I need permissions. I'm not sure who the host is, if they can allow me to.
Mr. Button, can you help out Andy? Make him a co-host.
I'll share this. So I don't know if you can see.
Just be careful, it's not another Peter Ben picture, is it, by chance? No? Just in case.
Hopefully not. Can you see the chat GPT window with someone that's really terrible at golf in the window?
Yep.
So this is a quick photo. You can actually convert it into like a cartoon style. So the Japanese cartoon is basically what they call anime. So it can actually create something like that from this image. You can give it different context. You can make it like The Simpsons. You can make it like anything else. This one came out a little bit, I don't know. I thought it was a little bit slimmer than that. But so what I did was I asked it to resize it down by about 20%. So it can actually quickly do a resize of 20% as well. And I said, look, put a cigar in my mouth to make me look a bit cooler. But that's sort of the stuff that it can do through just text and the power of AI, where you can start to get images like this that then you can start creating. There is AI engines out there that can actually start to animate this. So you can even make like a short 10-second clip of a golf swing or a bit of a story that you can tell it. You use applications like Midjourney and a few others, but you can see that, you can go from a very, text-based prompting and work to a more even creative and image type driven results. So yeah, I just wanted to share that to say that it's not just, stuff that you type in. You can put in pictures and be really creative and say, hey, put this person in a Rotary uniform or add a Rotary hat on on Andy or something like that, that's sort of the power it can start to do for you.
No, and I think one of the things you've mentioned, really important, it comes up a lot. Will AI remove the need for graphic artists? And my main thing I keep saying is no, but it'll remove the need for graphic artists who don't know how to use AI. So the reason being, what I find is 40–50% of the graphics it creates is actually pretty damn good. But and for what we do, often it's good enough, but it often isn't quite right, and you need someone to help.
You need to tell it, and you need to show it a certain personality. I think the problem is when people all use the same AI engine creating the same image, you'll start to see very similar things come through, and people will all pick out, oh, that was done with AI. Whereas I think, as Phil's point, if you have an artist that knows how to use AI, they'll take it 10 steps even further. But I wanted to note something before we forgot to mention, and I know we're out of time, so I'll be really quick. The tools that mentioned before, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, ChatGPT, are all sort of the engines on their own. What a lot of other companies now are doing are embedding in the reverse. So say, for example, if clubs are using, say, Canva to create a lot of their imagery and whatnot, Canva itself now has its own AI plugin. So you can either choose to use Canva AI or from, say, a ChatGPT and then go back and forth, or within the Canva itself, you can use that engine to start to create a lot of the tools. Even things like PDF, Acrobat, they're having their own AI plugins within the tool itself to try and stay ahead of the big players replacing them. So
what I want to quickly finish on is this is an example of a product that you can make use of, and I'm just doing it the really easy way. I'm pasting in that little story we had before. I want to create a slide at Rotary Club, blah blah blah. I just want to get 8 cards. I want to do a presentation. I could do web pages as well, create a document or create social, but let's just, what it does, it goes off and it generates an outline. And you look at the outline of what it's going to create. So based on that, it's creating, celebrating 25 years of service. It's giving it pretty good, focus on growth. I'm not going to do anything because we'll run out of time, but you could edit any one of these. You can add anything into the slide. You can delete any of those bullet points. You can put new things in. You can add a different slide if you want, but let's just keep it as it is and then say, actually, I'm happy with what I've got. I'm just going to generate a presentation so I can now go back to my club and talk about how we're going to actually move forward and celebrate. The incredible thing with some of these new tools is it creates the slide and the graphics are all completely context sensitive of what it's talking about in that slide. So it generates everything for you.
So this is all live, real time. So this is not something Phil pre-recorded.
Oh no, this is right, standard stuff live.
So this is how fast people can move, and some of the clubs can move as well. So,
and I think what's important for the members is that Phil and Andy have been applying some very generic topics in Rotary that's dear to our heart, but understand over time, like these gentlemen do, you can apply just about any topic in your club, whether it's you're going to have a closed meeting and what topic agenda items you might put on a slide pack to talk about it, or here we're attracting new members, or you've got a op shop, or you've got a market that seems to be quietening down. You can apply hundreds of different topics and see what this advanced system will come up with ideas for you. You put in the requirements, out will come the ideas, and you can then manipulate those to make it look and feel the way you want it, etc. And I think the gents have done a great job in illustrating that today.
Yeah, so you can see how far it can go. It's a good way to finish. We got time for questions? What was the timing?
We got
I think
18 minutes.
A few minutes for the questions.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yeah.
Okay, but firstly, just to get to if like I'm pretty handy with computers, but I've never used AI. So just to go to whatever, all I have to do, can I ask you, is just to go into Google and say Chat GPT, and it'll open it up
Yeah.
for me. That's all I have
Maybe
to do.
Phil, you could do a demo.
Or
No,
just, or just, it is, I would do that easy. You can just do a search for ChatGPT, but it's just chatgpt.com. It's really easy.
Okay.
Or for
Okay,
Google, go to gemini.google.com.
okay. No, that's okay. Then like, okay,
You
I'm
need to register your account as well, Paul. Just a caveat on that is you'll need to have a either log in with, say, a Google account or a Microsoft account, or
Yep.
you just sign up a new one. But that's the only sort of barrier.
Okay, all right, I'll figure that out. Then it, like if I wanted to, I'm doing a antique fair in about 6 or 7 weeks' time. Could I just say to it, check all our Facebook posts from the last 2 years and make me really 6 Facebook posts that will would it do that for me?
There are plugins for Facebook, but me personally, I find I don't use it with Facebook at all. I think it has some difficulties because of if you've got to be a member of a group, it won't see it.
So
So
just to add to that, I haven't used it myself,
Yeah.
Paul, but Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook, have its own AI as well.
Yeah.
So they've
So,
got what they call Meta AI. It's
yeah,
personally for me, I don't like to use it, but again, others may find it helpful. But that sort of lives within that own sphere of Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and whatnot. So the Meta AI is
remember, it's got to be public. If it's
Yeah.
in your own page, it won't see it.
all right, so I'll have a look into that. I know we have like just for the other people, one of the difficult things about running meetings is keeping minutes. And last year with the Holland Festival, our secretary is pretty handy with AI, and he just had AI listen into our meetings, and 1 minute after our meetings, there were the minutes. All we had to do was. So it just listened in. Nobody had to write minutes, and all we had to do was just, just check it that it was, it was very easy to check. So we got a Word doc a minute after our meeting with our minutes. Something
Right, yeah.
other clubs might like to.
Yeah, there's a lot of tools out there that you can register for that are actually free as well.
Yeah,
That you can
yeah.
just plug into meetings and they'll turn up. And I think
Yeah.
the only caveat about that is it records everything. So that's
No,
the only caveat I have to say about some of the
Oh,
tools
yeah.
that it will record everything. So
Yeah. No,
the summaries won't cover it, but if you go back one level below, which is the transcription,
Yeah.
it will actually have anything. So just be mindful.
Yeah, no, of
Yeah.
course that. I mean, of course you're gonna read through it and make all the changes you want to what the final minutes are. But it's certainly a lot easier than.
Yeah, definitely.
And because it's got everything, you can do that, then share it with the board, and then share it with your members. That's I'm just saying it.
All right,
So,
we're going to just
I mean, I
move on
can't.
because I see Shear's got a question there. I think we're going to.
That is
Okay.
Yeah, Phil, can you go back to that slide? Because you've created it, how do you now access it, update it at a future date and work on it? So is it like a PowerPoint? Is it, so what do you do next?
Okay, like in there, I can actually just edit it in here. I can even go.
Yeah,
like
but
here.
afterwards. So you've done all this. How do you
I
then
can do it.
save it and then come back to it?
Well, you can use it. You can either say you can present from the app, or you can save it as a PowerPoint.
So it does save as a PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Is that under the share button, is it?
So how do you do that?
This is a really good example here of graphics. See, it's had a go, but it's got it wrong, and that's what you see often. And yeah, oh God, you just got to just export it. I'm trying to remember.
You just missed it under the 3 dots, export from the bottom.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. So you just export it, and you say, what do you want to export it as?
Okay. Yep.
There'll be certain elements here that you won't be able to edit. So say, for example, the graphic itself, but you can replace over the top of it, right? So
you can't edit it, but one of the things I love about it is I can go in here and I can go, I'm sorry, pick the right one. Can you recreate as the logo as an error?
It was more, it looks good there, but if you wanted to actually send it out to people and things like that, how you do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And that's why I'm a real fan of, if the graphics are good, they're good, but if they're not, make sure someone who knows what they're doing does graphics for you, because
Yep.
I don't think you should be just trying to use it to replace all your graphics, but it's often good enough. I mean, I did an example I did recently. See, like it's still got it wrong. It's got and this is where AI images, sometimes it's really good, and again, it might be the model. There's a few things, but
Can I just ask, can it create forms? Like I want to create a form where an email will give me answers, so people can fill in the form on the email, and I actually get the answers when they fill it in. Can it do that?
Yes.
You're probably better off using something like Google Forms, but
Yeah.
it can.
So what you can use is the
Yeah.
Google Gemini, and it will be able to create you a form from there because it lives natively within the Google space. So
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
But also, Jeanette, that the district IT under David Button, you can talk to David, and we have Microsoft Forms at our disposal. So we have a no-cost solution as well. You could get the questions generated through AI and then put them into the forms if you wish.
Beautiful.
Pretty good. Well, guys, this has been an absolutely fabulous session, and I think for all of us, it's been a great introduction to AI. And I'd just like to thank Gus and Andy and Phil so much, guys, for spending your time with us all today. I think we've all got something out of it. So well done, fellas. It was just fantastic. And for those of you who want to know more about AI, I'm sure Phil and Andy and Gus will be more than happy to take any questions you've got, any queries that you have about how it can help your club design a whole range of things from bulletins to PowerPoint presentations. And so from our point of view, guys, we're just so grateful to you. And I suppose in one sense, it's removed a little bit of that fear factor that people think, geez, I don't know about AI, it sounds all, too difficult and too intrusive. But I think what you proved today was that we can use it to benefit us as Rotary clubs. And from that perspective, I think you've done a great service to us. So thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it.